Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Goddamn Gamecube. Greg and Riley are your hosts today, and I think this is going to be kind of an important episode. This episode is one of those that has been a long time coming. Today, we are talking about Undertale. It is a 2015 RPG created by Manchester, New Hampshire native Toby-verse, with character design by animator Temmie Chang. Toby-verse also very famously wrote the entire soundtrack, which is it's a very popular soundtrack. And so the basic premise of the game: humans won an ancient war with monsters and banished the monsters underground. Your character is a child who tumbles down a hole in Mount Ebott into the monster world. This game is universally acclaimed. It has sold millions of units, and it's been on my list for quite some time. It also happens to be the 10-year anniversary this year. So, Riley, any opening thoughts? Let's dive in.
No, I'm really excited to gradually work our way through that IGN Games of the Decade that people have been giving us shit about for years and years.
Oh, so is this on it?
We're finally like checking off this box.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, fans know, are we checking off this box in a funny way? Yes, but I was interested in playing this. So let's get into some general gameplay performance if you want to start.
Yeah, I think just overall, what it reminded me the most of, just moment to moment, is Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Just like the way that I don't know that it goes back further than that, but like just the way that you walk around and interact with the environment, and then you get into battles, reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, like it certainly jumped out to me as like a Game Boy Color aesthetic. And just for audiences who are not aware, Toby-verse was heavily inspired by Earthbound, which certainly predates Pokemon and other references we may make later in the episode. I personally have not played Earthbound or Mother. Have you?
No, not yet. I always wanted to. And then there's that Mother 3, which is Japan only, that people have, I guess, translated, fan translation, which is pretty cool. But no, I'd always like to play them. It seems like there's a lot of really goofy monsters and strange situations that are similar to this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have a couple of quick thoughts. I think I love whenever this happens, there's like 4 buttons.
Yeah,
it's really just like you're walking around, you can bring up your menu, exit, escape. That's pretty much it. It's very straightforward, very simple. The only like downside I experienced was that there were no sound controls.
What did you want to change?
Just the not the music, just like the general it's not quite dialogue, it's just like the noises.
Oh, sure.
So there was just certain like frequencies were bothering me. And I think it's just like, I don't know, I think Toby-verse seems like a very thoughtful developer, so it's just unfortunate that's just like I think it's just a pretty basic accessibility option, but that was my only real like moment to moment issue.
Sure, I think this is actually kind of an interesting question for the crowd. Like, I have never touched the sound controls in any game I have ever played. I'm curious if, folks in the comments change sound in games. I never do. But I will say this too, going forward, like our gameplay experiences were radically different because our play styles were quite different. So I'm excited to discuss the rest. And I do agree with you that I generally like games like this where the controls are essentially accept, decline, move character, and start menu. And that's essentially the game.
That's it. Big fan.
Yeah, me too. So let's move on to mechanics and systems, if you could start.
Yeah. One thing that I mean, this kind of goes back to, I would say BioShock was maybe the first time we talked about this, but sort of an in-game reason for being able to respawn or reload after death. And you think it's just a quirk of this game, but when you save, it says you're filled with determination. And as you progress, you find out that's like an in-universe. It's some kind of magic thing or like a scientific project. It's like a code name for something, I guess. And like your determination is what allows you to like there's other characters who have access to it, and they can they can respawn as well. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they give you, like you said, it's like BioShock. They give like an in-game reason for why restarting or why saving and or dying and coming back is a mechanic. So I also thought that was interesting. But I will say this too, but yes, it is interesting emotionally, but in my experience on a pacifist playthrough, which is what I did, you might as well just turn the game off to retain your healing items. So it's one of those that kind of dings my enjoyment a little, where I wish, if they're going to do this, I kind of wish it went back to the save state where you had all your items retained, because items and money are actually finite. But why don't we move on to some other mechanics?
That's a good point. Yeah, I think the first place my mind went with attacking, and then because it is turn based, and you have an attack phase and a defense phase, and the attack phase reminds me of like Gears of War Active Reload, where you have a bar crawl across the screen and you have to hit it at the right exact moment to maximize your attack damage. And there is no risk of jamming. You would just miss it if you missed that window. And different weapons affect how this works. Like there's one where you hit it and then you mash Z to maximize your damage, or you hit the bar in the middle multiple times. There's multiple opportunities. I thought it was a cool way to do it.
I think it's interesting that your reference was Gears of War. I think my reference for what this combat is incredibly niche. There was a game on the Game Boy Color called Resident Evil Gaiden. I'm assuming no one has played this. It was a Resident Evil Game Boy game that also had this combat system where it had a sliding bar and you had to just hit it at the right time. Very similar to this. And you have some other stuff on combat?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that you know that, because I'm willing to bet that's going to come up when Resident Evil 9 comes out in a couple months.
Jesus
They're going to
Christ.
call back to it. So I mentioned there's a defense phase as well. You have to move your heart. There's a little heart, I guess, represents your soul, around a little box to avoid enemy attacks. It's like bullet hell gameplay, essentially.
I thought this was very unique and very unexpected, because what's interesting to me is I actually knew nothing about Undertale at all until I played this, besides that you can play it as a pacifist. That's all that I knew. And so I was not expecting like the bullet hell, I guess, genre to appear in combat. It's not what I expected at all. So I thought it was mostly positive as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed how, like, because it seems pretty straightforward at first, but they keep it's mostly Toby Fox, keeps surprising you with all these little twists and turns on the formula, where, you know, for example, you're fighting the boss Papyrus, and he turns the gameplay into like a platformer at one point, and he extends the screen past its limit. Or you fight that boss, I think it's pronounced Undyne.
Yep.
And you basically, she gives you a spear. She has a spear that she attacks you with, and she gives you one to defend yourself. And it changes it so you essentially just have to pivot your character to a certain direction to like parry or deflect her attacks. It's just really nice to keep it fresh in that way. You can also use items or act. This is another option in the menu, where you can interact with enemies by talking to them or threatening them or flirting with them. And this is, I believe, how you complete a pacifist run. I consider, because I didn't know that you could do that until I started the game. I think I was a couple areas in, but like I experimented with it, but it feels like just a little too much trial and error for me to like stick with it.
Yeah, like it's certainly kind of a grind. I will say, like, I'm surprised you fought anything. Like I at least in my experience, like I thought it was impressed upon the player, like very heavily in the story, not to kill anything. So I actually killed 0 enemies and did do a pacifist run on my first time through the game. So it is possible.
Number one, I think that's very impressive. And number two, my rationale is the first character you meet pretends to be a sweet little flower and then attacks you. It takes like a huge chunk out of your health.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if something's trying to kill me or it's like impeding my progress through the game, can you really blame me for defending myself?
No.
But that's where I didn't kill everybody, but yeah.
You gained your fair share of love, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, indeed.
So just for players who are unfamiliar, which I guess it's nobody at this point because everyone played this shit but me. This game is the pacifist run, or the sort of alternative combat options. It's essentially like Shin Megami or Persona, where you can talk to demons instead of fighting. And in my opinion, unfortunately, like, although it is very emotional and interesting, pacifist runs of the game, in my experience, was extremely stale. You essentially get to take part in 0 aspects of the game as an RPG. All you do is dodge, talk, and pound healing items. So it's just, I don't know, man. It came across to me as overly stale.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, ironically, like the way that I played it was the most flavorful, where I spared some enemies and I killed some other enemies, so I kind of got to experience both. I also thought it was weird that I think you're a child and you can flirt. I thought this was kind of strange.
Yeah, that's got to be an oversight or an inside joke, right? They say that you're a kid. I don't know why there's a flirt option. On top of that,
weird.
Yeah, I know. And also you can date Papyrus, but you're a kid. That's really weird.
Yeah, and Undyne as well. There's a dating
Jesus
option.
Christ.
So I don't know.
These fucking weirdos in New Hampshire, dude. I don't know.
They do things a little different up there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There are also some very light RPG elements. There's leveling up, equipping a weapon and armor, most of which were meaningless because I could not do them because I wasn't fighting anything. In my opinion, and it could be marred by my playstyle, the game is lacking in some math, as we like to say on the show. I wanted a little bit more out of it mechanically. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately the trade-off that you experience, that you can either be a pacifist or have a somewhat enjoyable game experience.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's like, because it is sort of all or nothing in that way, where like the ending that I got is sort of a mixed bag, and it's clearly like the purest experience would be either full kill everybody or full pacifist. So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, no, I get it. I certainly put this upon myself. We'll move on next to visual fidelity and art direction, and you can start.
Yeah, I was doing my homework, reading up on the game, and I think evidently the visuals received criticism at the time. I think this, like, because like everything else is just very universal acclaim, for every reason, but I don't understand criticizing this when it's very clearly supposed to be this way. It's like,
yeah.
It's also like incredibly unique, especially for 2015. And well before I played this game, I instantly recognized like the interface, like the black and white. You're facing an enemy and you have the little heart, the red heart in the bottom of the screen. Like that's like shorthand for this game. I had no problems with the way it looked. I also like there was little flourishes, like the camera zooming in on Sans, the character Sans, when he makes jokes. They do a little rim shot and they zoom in on him and he winks, and it's just like little just tiny things that don't interrupt the gameplay that much.
There's a lot of quirky and also like very, I would say, like recognizable or iconic sort of little things like that. Right, that I think give this game
artistic license.
Yeah, a lot of spice.
I think I also love. I assume that the designer Temi was involved in this specifically. I love all the unique designs of like the unimportant characters.
Yeah.
You meet, like they're not an enemy or they're not like part of a quest, but like the slime janitor, like his sprite looks so good. It's just this guy who's wandering around the halls of the hotel, just like dripping everywhere. He looks great. They all look great. There is also, I would say, no confusing one area for another. They were all like pretty distinct, I think.
No, I agree. I also agree with you. I don't understand the point of like levying visual critiques at a game that's purposely trying to look like a Game Boy game.
Mm-hmm.
Like clearly that's what they're trying to do. Like this was not a half-assed project. This is a beloved and very intentional piece. I agree. No, yeah, totally. I also agree. A lot of very funny, like non-consequential NPCs. All the little weird guys sitting at the bars and restaurants that you even if you can't talk to them, they just like look really funny and interesting.
Yeah, they look great.
We will let's move on to sound design, maybe and music elements.
Yeah, I think personally, like the entire soundtrack is really formidable. I listened to the whole thing on Spotify a couple of days ago, just straight through. My favorite part of the whole experience, I think, it's just, and what I found was really interesting was that the music was composed before programming areas. So kind of like you got the feel for it first and then had kind of the design follow. I thought it was an interesting way to do it. There's a lot of there's a couple little highlights I'd like to get into. Just the ruins and the Undyne boss theme. It's like very prog. It sounds like the Deer Hunter or Chick Corea were my points of comparison. Sans theme, you have kind of that talk box like Peter Frampton. I thought that sounded really funny. I think because, it's by design, it sounds very sort of like bit based. And they still set the character Mettaton, he's a robot. They set him apart by incorporating those like Mr. Game & Watch sounds, like they're fucking like that kind of thing. That's incorporated into his theme. And it's kind of the structure of the song kind of sounds like Tetris, so it makes it feel even more computery than it otherwise would. I don't know. I think it was really virtuosic, like the whole thing. And I also love, this happens a couple of times in the game where a little action will change the instrumentation, like your room at the beginning. When you switch off the lamp, it changes just the different types of textures that are playing the song.
Yeah, very thoughtful touches. I think hats off to Toby Fox. He's a solo dev who also did the entire soundtrack. I think he's also very famous for doing this. It's kind of almost an aspect of the fan base as well. And I will say this, people fucking love this soundtrack too. There have been some live concerts of Undertale. And so actually there was a local one in Boston near me. So, big ups to him.
Really quick, friend of the show, Derek, told me that a lot of his piano students ask him how to play songs from this soundtrack. So it's like, it has a lot of generational thing too.
Yeah, and it has a lot of influence on younger folks. Absolutely. You want to move on to some story highlights, and we'll roll through this?
Yes, indeed. So number one, what did we name our characters?
So this is where I put in some pre-production here that I'm going to stop you right away. Like I never like inputting my name in games. I prefer to just, unless it's like Elder Scrolls or something. When something is so story focused and so particular, I feel weird putting in Greg or a name. I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't care about this. Like, I don't know. I don't tend to like it.
Well, so when it gives you the option is, I think, interesting, because I think sometimes like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, like it makes sense. And then in like Zelda, I feel weird because it's like, this is clearly Link. That's who it is. But I am glad you asked and brought this up, because I have like a weird sort of, I don't know if this is just like an artifact of like when he first started working on the game and he kept it in. But later on, you learn that your character has a canon name. And because of that, like, I don't think they should have given you the option. And I did some reading up on this in the fan wiki, and it says that technically it tells you to name the fallen human, who's like a historical character in the narrative. And so it may not refer to you specifically. Like, if that's the case, though, like you are addressed when you die. Like if you get a game over screen and you get it addressed. So I kept getting a message to my character, who I named Lobber. I don't know why, it just looked like a lobber to me. And sure. I just, if someone in like the comments can explain the disparity between like what I'm not getting there, that would be very helpful. Also, it prevents you, I think it's kind of interesting, it prevents you from entering the major characters' names. And some names invoke a custom response. So anything like close to if you put in Mettaton or like anything close to that name, MTT is like the network. He will chime in like the name your character screen, which is kind of cool. And naming your character Frisk, which is the canon name, makes the game way harder. Similar to the original Legend of Zelda, where this happens if you type in Zelda, it'll just turn on hard mode like immediately.
Interesting. Let's move on to some of the major areas. We're going to start with the ruins.
Right off the bat, so you meet that flower I mentioned. Huge asshole.
Yeah.
Just really, because he basically tricks you into thinking the mechanics work a certain way, where he's like, oh, you have to collect all the, like, you're in the bullet hell screen. He says, you have to collect all the love pellets. And he's just like damaging you. And then he basically, he completely changes. And he's like, well, I don't know. You have a couple notes on this character, right?
Yeah, my first note is "you idiot," which I thought was funny. It did make me laugh.
Yeah.
And then we can keep going here. A goat woman saves you. Her name is Toriel, but you can kind of tell something is off, right? Kind of when you start.
Yeah, she seems chill at first, but it's like there's an undercurrent of weirdness. I did like, I think I kind of wish there was more of this in the game. There's kind of a jokey puzzle design in the beginning where you're like pushing rocks onto switches, and there's one that can actually talk to you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you want me to move? And he moves the wrong way. And then you push, and he's like, oh, this way. And then you try to go through a gate, and he moves off the switch, and he says, oh, you wanted me to stay put? Like, I love shit like that. Like, that's funny. That's really funny. Also note, like, so Toriel is, I think, just like a little too protective of you is the vibe that I get. She like literally holds your hand through a lot of the early puzzles, which I thought was pretty funny. It's a nice little like meta situation where she's like, it's like the game hand holding you, but she is too. And it becomes clear that she's like not going to let you leave, and she is the first major boss. And I turned her to atoms. She was torn to shreds. I felt bad, but it had to be done. I had to get out of those ruins. I can't believe
you killed her, dude. I can't believe that.
I don't know. I don't trust like that.
I get it.
For this segment, I was on board. It reminded me of the first time I read A Game of Thrones, where it became clear that this story was not playing by the normal rules. It's just like, I don't know, like it's kind of fucking with your expectations from moment one.
Yes, and that's a good way to put it, like kind of messing with your expectations, and they did this over and over in the intro. Like, you can kind of tell right away that something is fucked up. Like, Toriel won't let you leave the house. Like, I was scared to even answer like what kind of pie I wanted or what kind of candy I liked. I was like, fucking nervous. And so I'll keep mentioning it. I pacifist ran this, so I talked her down and then she let me leave. Mm-hmm. There's actually a very interesting design element. I don't know if you noticed this. She will not kill you if you are low on health and you are trying to talk your way out of battle. So the very lore conscious and a good decision by Toby Fox, which we'll talk about later about why she would not kill you. I remember when I was doing this fight, I'm kind of getting my ass whooped. And then I noticed her attacks just purposely were quite wide and just would not come down the center of the screen. And so it came across to me as very intentional,
right?
Which I thought was very interesting. And there's one thing I want to ask you. Do you remember like early on, she asks you to wait for her to come back, but you can proceed anyway? Like, did you wait for her? I just left.
No, I think I left. I think I was just exploring like all the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, that was interesting too. I want to look up what happens if you stay. I'm assuming with the way I've seen Toby Fox operate, something happens. But let's move on to Snowdin, which is the next area.
Yeah, so you meet the skeletons, very popular characters, Sans and Papyrus, and they're named after their respective fonts, which come up in the dialogue box.
I did not pick up on this until right now, so thank you. Yeah, that they're named after fonts.
Yeah, it's if you look at like Comic Sans and Papyrus, like that's how they speak compared to all the other characters.
That's funny.
It's just cool. I had an issue here with the Papyrus multicolored floor puzzle. I think it's just this is where we were talking about our expectations. I felt like I kind of figured out the pattern of like what was gonna happen, because it's like they're doing like the joke 100% of the time. So he's talking about, okay, this tile is gonna electrocute you. You're gonna drown in this one. This one sends you back 3 spaces or whatever. And I was like, okay, this is way too much information to absorb right now, and it's not gonna work. It's like his entire trap is gonna just like fail. And sure enough, like you walk a couple paces ahead, and he's just like, oh, he just spirals away. In that moment, it didn't work for me. You do get a payoff later where it happened, and it does work, which I think is really cool. But it's still like, I was like, that was hours ago. I cannot possibly remember what each of these does, and it doesn't like hold your feet to the fire in terms of like you can very easily pass it, but it's still just like, I don't know. I just think it could have gone down better. And you do have a boss fight with them. And that's when the date happens. I was like, even in the moment, I was just like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, dude, like during this boss fight, did you quote unquote kill him, or did you spare him? What did you do?
No, I spared him because I thought he was delightful.
I mean, I thought this was also the most fucking aggravating boss fight too, in terms of like my pacifist run. I thought this was the hardest one.
Really?
Yeah, I struggled with this. Well, I think I have this in my notes that it was actually my least favorite section. I kind of said to myself, man, am I in for it if every boss is like this? But I will say this too, like the date thing was bizarre as fuck. Like it's very oddball-y, and I didn't understand this. Like, you're a kid, I don't understand why this is in the game, but I don't know. Maybe the fan base can complain.
This is one of those so I was overall so on this segment, and it's one of those things where the vending machine starts rocking back and forth between serious and silly. And it's like the only point of having this dating segment is like as a joke. And so it's like it doesn't make lore sense. It's just there to be silly. And this keeps happening to mixed results, we'll say.
Yeah, I understand. I thought it was very bizarre. So let's move on to the waterfall segment.
Yeah, this was, a complete polar opposite. I thought this was awesome with the chase scenes with Undyne, where you have to avoid the spears. Reminded me of that segment in Dark Souls 3 with the giant. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Great stuff.
I like this too. It brought some intensity to the walking in the levels. Mm-hmm. A story-related note, you learn that Undyne is trying to deliver your soul to King Asgore, and you learn that Asgore needs human souls to free the monsters from the underground. So now you have a little bit of the why going on.
There is a cool puzzle too where you have to work on a piano, and it makes like the way that you're doing, if you're playing on PC, it makes your keyboard feel like you're forming piano chords with your hand.
Oh, interesting.
Really cool. That's for full disclosure, that's how I played it. But I thought the Undyne boss battle was the toughest bit yet. I wound up thriving, succeeding, but it was, I don't know. I think, was this the hardest part of the game for me? I think it might have been. It took me many tries.
Interesting. Like, I would say like if you pacifist this, it's quite interesting. You have to like get the heart to change color, and you have to continually escape battle, and you can walk a couple of paces. She'll attack you again. You have to kind of keep running. And do you have any more on this?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think this chapter overall was like this was like the peak, the zenith.
Yeah.
Just very like life or death situation, white knuckle intensity. Like, I'm very engaged with, okay, there's this, we've gotten some silly willy stuff out of the way. Like, now they've been hyping up this character as like the king's enforcer.
Right.
And she's like hunting you down. And I think it kind of got us back on the rails for a bit, is what I'm saying.
I do think it's also inherently silly that this armored spear person is just hunting down a kid in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, it is a little bit weird, but... And I'll ask you this, like, because you killed her, did you not see the part where you offer her water from, like, a water bubbler? I'm guessing you didn't.
No.
Interesting. Also, side note, did you find the secret area, the Temi village?
I didn't, no.
Interesting. It's the one part of the game where you can sell stuff to merchants.
That's cool, yeah, because all the people that I talked to were like, we're not interested.
Yeah, you get a tip from someone where like some secret shop will buy your stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you learn from the boat captain of where the Temmie village is, which is cool. Interesting.
I like the boat captain character too.
Yeah, me too. Let's move on to the Hotlands if you want to start.
Yeah, so this is where a couple of significant characters get introduced, and I don't know how other people online feel about this character, but the Alfies, this character I liked at first, and then kind of just wore out their welcome for me, because they give you like the cell phone, and they keep calling you, and I'm trying to figure out where to go. I'm trying to figure out the puzzles, and they just keep interrupting you. And it's like, I feel the same way about when they give you the codec in Metal Gear Solid, where it's like, I'm never going to call them because they're already calling me like a ton.
Yeah, like, I get it.
I don't know. It's like, I wasn't a big fan of this element of the game. It just felt very like disruptive. Conversely, I was a pretty big fan of the Mettaton just in general, because he's the entertainment robot that she made, and I thought the creativity of like the TV segments that you wind up having to play through were kind of interesting, like the cooking show and the newscast, and it's like it just changed up the gameplay just enough.
You know what it is? I actually think I feel this way about how you felt about Papyrus. Or like the Papyrus puzzle, where this got a bit stale to me. Like it was just comedy bit after comedy bit. You can kind of tell at every point, like, oh, they're gonna do a bit and you can't die because it's television. Like it got a little stale to me. Like remember like the bomb defusal and all that? So you like these?
I mean, like I didn't like playing them. I liked like the setup, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I just like, just anything to shake up the game, because you know what, like I said, there's 4 buttons. What you're doing is very simple most of the time. So if you can wring like more out of that washcloth, like I think it's commendable. But I agree that it was, I think there's like 4 different segments, and it's kind of like, whatever at the end.
Also, I think the moving on just a little, the spider area is interesting. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because so at the beginning of the game, there is an unattended spider web where you can buy like baked goods that are like, it says like spider donut and spider something else. And I had it with me. I just wasn't using it for whatever reason. And I inexplicably, so this character appears and she has her own like stand set up, but I didn't buy anything. And it's interesting that they thought of this. So I went in, and initially she attacks you. And I was like, oh, I still have that spider thing. I wonder if anything's going to happen. And she realizes that she's like, oh, I didn't realize that you were a patron at our other location. Like, oh, please feel free to leave. Because, like, I guess if you bought something from her, like, you would just bypass it entirely. But because I did it in a different area, it takes her a second. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I call this kind of a Chekhov's gun moment, where if you donated to the spiders in the first 30 minutes of the game, they let you bypass this at the end of the game. And this is pretty key to my run because she was whooping my ass. So I'm glad I contributed to the spider bake sale.
Oh yeah, you got to support the troops.
Oh God,
this is another cool gameplay segment too, where you have to. It limits your movement by, you can only move your heart from thread to thread. I think that was interesting during that fight. Yeah, just a cool plant payoff. I think I generally enjoyed this segment as well.
Yeah, me too. Let's move on to the core. Getting towards the end of the game here.
Yeah, this is a pretty short one. Not a whole lot going on. There's like laser beam puzzles that Alfies?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Whatever.
Basically solves for you. And the last boss here with where Mettaton comes back, I thought it was just like such a pain in the ass because I was out of healing items.
Yeah.
So you gotta like try and keep the ratings up. Like there's like, cause it's like the TV show and you see a graph, like a I don't know what you'd call it, like the EKG or whatever,
Yep.
and you see like how people are responding. So like if you get hit, if you take damage, if you survive at low health, that kind of thing. Just basically like what your actions during this affect that, and you have to, the longer you take, it starts going down, and then you have to crawl like back up. I don't know. I think it's clever. I just didn't enjoy playing it that much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. I think what's funny, just because our play styles were the opposite, this may have actually been my favorite fight because it's the only time I got to do something different. Because, you're able to combat them by not just talking. You have to do stuff to earn, like, popularity ratings. There is something funny, too. If you eat certain food from the restaurant, the hotel restaurant, you get plus 1,000 fame towards the 10,000 because it's a food they're advertising, which is
so
really
you do,
funny.
Like product placement for them?
Yes.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Let's get towards the end of the game here. The quote-unquote last area is called New Home.
Yeah, I liked the design of this area a lot. It's all pretty much like grayscale. It reminded me of the ruins under the port in Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. A couple things in this game kind of reminded me of that. I think there's definitely some influence at play there. But I generally like the design of it.
Yeah, I also think it portrayed the gravity of the emotions pretty well. We talk on the show a lot about does this area at the end of the game feel like the end of the game? And so I think in this area, it certainly does.
Yeah, it feels significant. Unfortunately, I found it like incredibly taxing to keep getting interrupted in this part by the monster encounters. Another thing where I think it's creative, but just playing it bothered me. So it presents itself as like a battle scenario, and it's like they're basically step by step explaining the lore of the kingdom and how the war between human and monsters was caused by a misunderstanding. Like the first child that went down there died as like happenstance, and everyone just assumed that the monsters killed him. And it's like that's sort of like the underlying, like the inciting incident, I guess, of the lore. Mm-hmm. And it's just playing through it was because it's not like 2 or 3, it's like 8 in a row. Mm-hmm. And I felt kind of similar about like when Sans you get to this like sort of cathedral area, and Sans explains that EXP is actually stands for execution points, and love is level of violence. And it's one of those things where it reminded me of when you're playing Portal and GLaDOS is chiding you for dropping the companion cube in the incinerator, even though that's what she told you to do. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, give me a fucking break here.
You know what's funny, dude? This might be one of our few episodes where I'm good cop and you're bad cop here.
I know.
I was actually a little surprised you felt this way. Like, it came across as very obvious to me that you should not be killing and continuing the human versus monsters cycle. I will say that there are several variants to the Sans conversation. Like, for me, he says you never gained any love. That's if you're level 1. Uh-huh. He tells you that if you kill King Asgore, the monsters will be trapped forever. And if you let Asgore take your soul, everyone can be freed. So you get the big moral conflict. And he tells you to essentially do the right thing, which is die, which is bizarre.
I don't know. It's one of those things though, because like I think this is a fucking silly baby game with a snail who wears a suit. My Zoom name right now is Snail in a Suit, by the way.
Just funny.
I don't think the tone is conducive to this kind of like postmodernism where it's like it's a cute game. Like I don't know. I just think it didn't add up for me, like what they were going for in terms of the killer be killed or
I got you
passivism.
Like it just didn't really land for you.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though, dude? Like for me, I think the only sticking point for me why I disagree with you to me, this game came across as, even though it's silly, everyone is trapped here. And they're kind of making the best of their silly world that they can't leave. Like, to me, this game did not come across as they're in this monster world and they're having a really good time. It seemed like, to me, the monsters are just kind of making the best of it. So maybe it just struck me differently than you, but that's how it felt to me.
Yeah, aren't we all really like monsters making the best of it, you know?
in our silly little world.
In our silly snails in suits. I think it's because it's maybe more that like the world didn't fit together for me in like a sensible way. That I like the stakes weren't really landing. Like we talked about the dating simulator and Metaton and his TV shows, and it's just like it's hard to square the circle with, okay, now it's time to get serious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't really work for me. But so Asgore, he needs your soul to free the monsters from the underworld. I found this boss fight like appropriately tough, and I spared him at the end.
So I think what's fucking crazy about my experience, because this is my first time playing through the game and I did Pacifist my first time, this boss was the first and only time I ever saw the combat mechanics. Like the Resident Evil guide in the Gears of War active reload. So I had to get good at this really fucking fast.
Yeah, because there's no way to talk him down at first.
Correct. You have to fight him. So, you know, I'm at level 1 with 20 HP and fucking nothing. So it was certainly interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, I spared him, but it didn't matter because the flower came back and turned into, I don't even know what you would call it. Like, I think they call it the Photoshop Flowey, where
oh, really?
He's not like a black and white sprite anymore. He's just several like textures. Like, I don't even, it looks like Stinky Cheese Man or something.
he becomes John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, just like this abomination of different moving parts. And like I've said about a couple things in this game, I think it's very funny, very creative, very clever that they brought back this seemingly, it's basically like if a Goomba from Mario was like turned into this fucking Cthulhu monster at the end of that
Yeah.
game. You know what I mean? I think
That's a good comparison.
It's pretty funny. But in terms of playing it, I got so fucking stressed out because I did not know like what because it seemed like I was taking hits but not dying. And then other times dying. And it was like, it kind of encapsulated like the how seriously should I take this question that I had throughout the entire game. Where like I thought I showed it to my roommate and he's like, I am entertained by this, but I don't know how I'd feel playing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I somehow fumbled my way through it and defeated the boss. But
you know what it is, dude? Like I agree with you in some ways where I thought, to me, this is another kind of Chekhov's gun kind of moment where I forgot about the flower thing in the beginning and I'm like, oh fuck, it's this motherfucker again. You know what I mean? But I also felt like, you know, the giant bullet hell final boss was visually very interesting, visually turns the game on its head, but I also did not like playing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The gameplay experience was certainly iffy in my opinion.
I killed him out of sheer spite. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And then I rolled credits. I got my you kind of get like a Fallout sort of ending, like here's what's going on in the wasteland. You get a phone call from Sans and Papyrus and whoever you spared. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I uninstalled the game and that was that.
I may accuse you of missing the point again here. Like I spared Flowey, and then I saved the world and I felt pretty damn good about myself, all things considered.
As you should. That's no mean feat. But my only regret is that I did not kill them all. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
I would kill all of them except the snail in the suit.
Yeah, that's my guy. Oh my god! All right, so let's talk a little bit about maybe some side content, some stray thoughts we have, and maybe let's try to put this whole thing together. This game is extremely popular, really for the emotional and narrative stuff that's trying to be portrayed throughout the game. So I'm gonna give a little brief synopsis here of what's going on behind the curtain. So Toriel, the woman who saves you in the beginning, and King Asgore, they were a married couple, but they're now divorced. They had a child named Asriel. A human child named Chara fell into the monster world. Toriel took care of both Asriel and Chara like her own children. Chara, the human, died from eating buttercups, a poisoned flower, hint, hint. Asriel absorbed Chara's soul and left the monster world for the human world because it was Chara's last wish to see the flowers of their human village. The monster Asriel-Chara combined form thing was unfortunately attacked by humans, and Asriel died from their wounds. They chose not to fight back against the humans, installing that theme of mercy and sparing monsters into the game. This event caused Asgore to declare war on humanity and his desire to escape the underworld and kill humans, and kill any humans who entered the underworld. Also, Asriel's remains became flowy, or whatever. So that's why sparing monsters became a key component, and Toriel not wanting to let you out of the house because she already lost 2 of her children. So it all makes sense to me, but you really have to dig in to get all the details, whether it's multiple playthroughs, really getting into every conversation. Like, how successfully do you think this came across? I think maybe for me, maybe a little bit more successfully than you, but do you have any thoughts?
My thoughts are that when this game is trying to be creative and trying to be funny, it is very successful. And when it's serious, it is not successful for me. Because like everything you were saying, like I'm following it and I'm understanding. And like, you know, I know because I read into like the other endings as well. And like you kind of piece together the complete picture that way. But a lot of it just feels kind of like contrived, like Final Fantasy stuff for me. Like the combined form coming out of the cave, and like it reminds me of like Death Stranding with like,
yeah,
your mom is actually your sister and she's also
Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
And she's going to end the universe. Yeah, she's also the president of the United States and she's going to end the universe. Like you gotta I'm a simple man. Like
you gotta rein it in.
This is a universe of monsters and weirdos. I gotta I don't know, simplify it somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's personal preference. It wasn't really what I was looking for. And I think like even the genocide ending is kind of a pain in the ass because you have to keep triggering random encounters until they stop happening.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of, if you pick like the extremes, like you're not really seeing I think a varied, pleasant game experience.
Yeah,
but
correct.
If you play it like I did, I don't know. It's weird. It's like there's a lot that I think is clever and remarkable about it, but I think there's a couple things that are at odds with each other.
Listen, before I move on, in a world of monsters and weirdos, are we the weirdos, you and I?
Oh, is this rhetorical?
Anyway,
we're the only people who think Control is bad, so yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Control 2 just got announced. Fuck you. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right.
So in my opinion, like my problem with Undertale is that this game at the extremes is just very stale in terms of gameplay. I'll give a little comparison. I kind of like how that game Vampire handed pacifist playthroughs. Like, you can still enjoy the RPG mechanics in that game. You're just very under-leveled, and not every kill is considered bad. Mm-hmm. In Undertale Pacifist, you just don't engage with the game at all. Like, you don't engage with the RPG elements of the game at any level, so it can come across as quite stale. And also, you're really just talking to people, dodging, and just pounding healing items, and is quite bland.
It kind of reminds me of what we were talking about, the game Metro Exodus.
Sure.
With our friend Nick, and he raised an interesting point where there's this level where you get this crossbow, and it's like the coolest thing ever. And it's like, oh, but if you want the best ending, you can't use it at all. And it's like the primary weapon because you can't kill people. It's so funny.
You can't engage with it at all.
Yeah.
Let's get into the conclusion here.
Yeah, I think so. Conclusively, I have a great deal of respect for the production and the imagination. I think it's just like too relentlessly silly for me to switch gears and pull like the emotional lever. I just can't take the serious moments seriously. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, you know what it was? I think I didn't find it overly silly. I think it came across to me, the sadness of the world, I think came across to me more than perhaps it did for you. Mm-hmm. But I just think for me, there isn't quite enough math in the game to keep me engaged. It didn't quite hit it for me.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I think also like the constant interruptions were the death blow for me because like I was getting into a flow of like, oh, it's a monster encounter, going through the motions, whatever. I did, I experimented with some of them like, oh, you can compliment this monster or you can basically degrade them and stuff like that. There was fun options with that. And anytime that I wasn't like moving forward or doing that, like if I was getting like a phone call or somebody was stopping me, interrupting me, I'm like, fucking what now?
Yeah,
you know what I
get
mean?
It.
But I do also think that this is a key touch point for understanding Gen Z. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because like everybody of a certain age that I talk to, like, oh, I'm playing Undertale for the first time. Like, oh, you never played it? I played it when I was a kid, like.
Yeah. What I tend to take away from this is people fucking love this game. Like the fan base adores this. And it is certainly very thoughtful. I mean, there are dozens of variations on the endings, and the subreddit is incredibly busy. I don't know, man. Yeah. Do you have any more? Keep concluding.
Yeah, keep concluding. It's a very simple design, and it can run on anything. I think it's surprising that I think some of the bullet hell sections are pretty challenging for the layperson. Like, if I was to give it to like my mom or something, I think that would be an obstacle. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I think it's easy to see why it's so universal. It's such a sensation, and I'm glad I played it for like anthropological reasons.
No, me too. This is certainly one of those games I played because of the impact it's had on so many people and the industry. Not that my interest in it was incredibly high. I was almost interested because of how interested people are in it. Mm-hmm. Maybe from an academic standpoint. Also, even though we critique this game pretty thoroughly, all love to Toby Fox. Mm-hmm. Solo dev who put a lot of care into it. Also, I will say this, it was a rare experience where I finished this game in one sitting from start to finish on a Sunday. I always appreciate when I can, you get one of those maybe once every couple of years.
Sure, yeah. No, very evidently self-taught programmer. Had no experience prior to making this. I think it's really impressive. I also always heard about, I don't know, it's one of those things that I didn't put together because I wasn't thinking too hard about it, like finding out Titanfall and Apex Legends are related. But right. I always heard about Deltarune in passing, but I had no idea it was connected to this. It's very clever that it's just, it's like an anagram, like the letters just jumbled around. I never put that together.
Me either. But also, I think what's interesting, dude, I also know nothing about Deltarune and I forgot it's out. Like, I'm just not I'm just not plugged into this Toby Fox universe.
Pantheon, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I believe a little bit more of a traditional party turn-based RPG, expanded compared to this one. But it looks cool.
So I'll give my final paragraph here. I think at times it's very clever. I'm referring to Undertale. And the combat influences are very unique. Like, I never seen a Resident Evil guide in bullet hell pick an influence. It's quite unique. Mm-hmm. There are a ton of variants to the endings, and if you dig into the backstory, there's a lot going on. It's a very thoughtful game, I think, from an emotional perspective, but I think it's quite stale to play and limited mechanically, but people fucking love it. Mm-hmm. I think my final stamp on this is I appreciate it, but it's not my favorite. And I am awarding it a B-, and I would like to know your grade before we conclude.
Very nice. Yeah, I think I've mostly said my piece. I think it's it's for me, it's just a mixed bag of like I was continually impressed by, just the thoughtfulness of like all the little tricks and twists to the gameplay, but I think there were just significant obstacles to just like getting into the world and the universe with just taking the kitchen sink approach maybe a little bit too much. I think so. For me, my final grade is going to be a C+, and I'll leave it there.
Okay, right on. And thank you guys, and we will catch you next time on Goddamn GameCube. Thank you.